I want to give a super big shout out to our head moderator, Dave G, for giving me this information and letting me know of this update last week. Thanks so much, Dave G. You're awesome. And you really are the backbone to UnJustified. Okay, guys, on to the video. Okay, I wanted to give you a little update on the officers. These officers have been charged. 2 of them. There was actually 3 officers involved. Only 2 were charged. The female officer should have been complicit, in my opinion. She did not intervene. She actually took a part in the abuse of this elderly lady. When he was asked during this press conference, of which you will see, he was asked the question, do you think maybe this arrest, these charges, will send a message to other officers that this is not acceptable? His answer completely disgusted me. His answer was, I don't think it needs to. We have no problem here. Those 2, they're gone. Everybody else here is awesome. Okay. If that's the fact, then why? Only 4 days after these 3 officers assaulted, abused, broke her arm, dislocated her shoulder, why is it only 4 days after that there was another case brought against them, different officers, for the same thing, police brutality? Now, I'm not sure if it was to an elderly person, whatever the case may be. However, it was obviously something pretty severe, because the police department did an out-of-court settlement with the person. And ironically, the same attorney that Karen Garner's family has hired for her case was the one that opened that case as well. At the time, she knew nothing about Karen Garner, nothing. Actually, nobody knew anything about Karen Garner until April the 14th, when federal charges were brought against these officers. Nobody knew nothing. It wasn't in the media at all. Karen's attorney is the one that brought this to light. Karen deserves justice, full justice. The female officer should have been complicit, and her charges are ridiculous. There they are. The male officer could have well been charged with more. You'll see that when you hear Karen's attorney speak. Something's not right. The other officer, Metzer, not charged with anything, and he's still on the force. What's going on in Colorado? What the hell is going on up there? I mean, there's a lot of things that's just not adding up very well in your state. There's crime everywhere. I get that. But I have truly not seen police corruption as rampant as I'm seeing it in your state. It's disgusting. And now, reverting to an elderly lady, and not only an elderly lady that weighs 80 pounds, an Alzheimer's victim. Don't tell me you did not know she had Alzheimer's. Because when you are in your little office areas, rewatching the cam footage and making fun of the pop her shoulder did when you broke it, or you broke her arm, I'm sorry. You dislocated her shoulder. But when you were in there doing that, you and your friends were saying, oh, but she say no. Don't say you didn't know. Doesn't matter if you knew or not. Are you serious? 80 pounds, bragging about throwing her on the ground a few times. Disgusting. Get off your power trip. I promise you, there's always going to be somebody out there bigger and badder than you. Disgusting. Don't hide behind your badge and act like you're some power trip. Come on, Colorado. It's time you get something right. This is unjustified. Hashtag justice for Karen Garner.
Chief Robert Ticer will have a few words to say about the charges filed by the DA this morning against former Loveland police officers. After that, we will take questions. We may take a few questions from reporters participating remotely as well. I'd like to introduce now Chief Robert Ticer, Loveland Police Department.
Thank you, Tom. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for being here and for covering this very important piece of news today. My name is Robert Ticer. That's T-I-C-E-R. I'm the Chief of Police here for the City of Loveland. Today, I'm here to respond to District Attorney Gordon McLaughlin's decision to charge 2 former Loveland police officers following the arrest of Karen Garner last summer. I fully support these charges. I'll say it again. I fully support these charges. We accept and understand the District Attorney's decision to pursue criminal charges against these individuals, and we will continue to cooperate with this investigation. While we cannot comment specifically on the allegations so as to not jeopardize the criminal case, we support any effort to make sure any wrongdoing is dealt with appropriately. These 2 individuals are no longer in any way associated with our department. Their actions and attitudes are in direct contrast to the culture we strive to achieve here at the Loveland Police Department. We understand the desire for accountability and justice, and we are seeing that today for Ms. Garner with the charges being filed by the District Attorney's Office. As demonstrated on April 14th, once we became aware of the severity of Ms. Garner's injuries, if an officer's actions violate our policies and/or our laws, we will work very quickly and firmly to address it. We understand the severity of this incident, and as such, I have requested, in addition to the criminal proceedings, an independent third-party internal affairs investigation overseen by the city's Human Resources Department. As part of our mission to serve and protect, we've taken a number of actions since April 14th. First, the majority of our police officers have now undergone Alzheimer's awareness training. This began within a week of my learning about how Ms. Garner was treated. Secondly, starting next month, we will begin instituting additional de-escalation training. When officers get the opportunity to rely on time and distance to slow down their encounters with the public and can do it safely, we want to take advantage of those opportunities. Thirdly, since the first of this year, an assistant city attorney with our city of Loveland reviews all use of force cases, and in fact, reviews are going back to the year 2019. This will be for all use of forces cases moving forward. This extra layer of scrutiny is important to not only our department, but to the community that we serve, to ensure the policies and laws are being followed. Additionally, all officers will continue to undergo extensive crisis intervention training, a program that we have had in place here for nearly 15 years. We will continue to focus in that area. In addition to this independent investigation, a comprehensive assessment of the police department will also be conducted by this third-party team. I'm happy to take any questions that you may have today. Thank you.
Chief, why did it take so long to look into this case, and when did you first see that body camera video?
I first saw that body camera video on April 14th when it was posted online as we were notified of the federal lawsuit. Questions related to why and how long it took for that notification to occur will no doubt occur through the criminal investigation, and I believe those questions will be asked and answered in the third-party investigation. That's the intent of finding all those answers out.
Who's part of this third-party team?
The third-party team has not yet been announced. Our Human Resources Department will be doing an independent investigation, and they will be hiring a third-party investigative team to handle it outside of the police department to conduct that investigation. So I do not have that answer yet. Yes, sir.
This raises questions too about how long or how often something like this occurs, just in terms of whether there's an intentional cover-up or whether there's an intention not to send it up the chain of command. How often or how frequently might something like that happen?
The question is, how often does this happen? We do not believe this happens often. We found out nearly 8 months later that this had occurred. We took swift actions at that point to contact the district attorney to implement the CERT team and to find out why that happened. But that is not a common practice in our organization.
This sergeant, that person on administrative leave?
Yes, ma'am. The sergeant is still on administrative leave.
Would you guys have found out about this without this federal investigation or the federal lawsuit?
I do not know if we would have found out about that without the federal lawsuit. Perhaps if it would have come in through a different channel, but that's how we were notified of it.
For those in the community who are saying that this isn't enough, that they believe you or the city manager should step down, what would be your response to that?
You know, there's a lot of emotions out there in the community and a lot of desire from community members for justice and accountability. That's what you're seeing right now. I can tell you with the district attorney's charges that were filed today, they were on 2 people. And I believe the charges stand for themselves and actually answer that question that you just asked.
Was there ever actually an internal affairs investigation from the day that it happened? You know, the video from inside the booking area, we hear them talk about whether or not they should report this to the blue team. Did they? Was there an investigation at that point in time?
There was not an investigation at that time, no, ma'am.
So did they not report it to the blue team?
This is going back to the criminal investigation that's ongoing, and again, I can't comment specifically as to what happened during that course of time. That is something that will be worked through in this criminal prosecution. I'm sorry, I can't answer that.
Do you know anything about the accusations that former officer attempted to influence a peace officer, and what were your reactions when you heard those charges were included?
I was not surprised by the charges. Not surprised by the charges. My reaction is we have 2 former employees that were charged with crimes. They do not work here. So our reaction is extreme disappointment. And as a community, as a police department, as human beings here, we're very upset by it.
Does this send a message to other officers in the department?
I wouldn't say it sends a message. It sends a message to people to not conduct themselves, to find themselves charged by the district attorney's office. Our officers that work here right now are integrity-based. They have ethics. They have duty. They work so hard. So I don't believe they need to have a message sent to them because they already know right from wrong. They do it the right way, those officers that are employed here today.
Did either of those officers have prior disciplinary history here?
Was the question, do these 2 officers have prior disciplinary? No.
Can you comment at all on the city council's movement to potentially create a commission that would restore, I guess, the trust between the community and your department?
Right. There's obviously when you have an incident where former police officers are charged with a crime, you're going to have broken trust. We recognize that. We understand that. And when you have broken trust, there are many people in the community, many people in government who want to quickly restore that trust. Our police department wants to restore that trust. So there are a lot of ideas being brought forward on how to do that. Some of them have to do with trust commissions, others have to do with civilian oversight of the organization, civilian review boards. And I think it's normal when you have this much emotion and you have this type of a severe situation that you're going to have a lot of ideas to work through. But I anticipate that there will be some oversight in some fashion of this organization as an outcome from this situation.
Do you welcome that?
I welcome anything that can help our department be better so we can serve our community the right way.
Since Officers Top and Dwelly resigned, do they still have access to any sort of benefits from the police department, like a pension service or insurance or anything like that?
They do not. Our department has a defined contribution plan for folks in the private sector that would be similar to a 401k. So both of those two former officers were not fully invested in that. So there's no dollars coming out other than what they put in themselves.
Chief, my colleague David Begno from CBS News wanted me to ask a follow-up question. He said, obviously you support the charges now, as you just said, but why didn't you take action against these officers about a year ago, and why did you take the video being released by the family for this all to happen?
We took actions as soon as we found out about the serious injury of this incident, and that was on April 14th. And swift and immediate actions took place from that point forward until today's announcement of the charges. If we would have known that on June 26th, we would have implemented the same protocols as were implemented directly after April 14th.
How long do you expect Sergeant Messer to remain on administrative leave?
I do not know how long he'll be on administrative leave. The investigation, as I stated, is independent of this police department, so we will not be involved in that. So that conversation will have to occur with those investigators. So I couldn't give you an answer on that.
So he's going to stay on leave through the criminal case and then also through this third-party investigation?
I do not have a timeline on when he will not be on administrative leave right now. He currently is, though.
What would you say to Karen's family?
Well, I would say to Karen's family, Ms. Gardner's family, is I know they're seeking justice, and I know they're seeking accountability. And today there was a very strong message from this community of charges on 2 former police officers. That really begins accountability and justice. That's what I would say.
Did you ask Cobb and Dwelly to resign?
I'm not going to get into the personnel discussions of how those two departed the organization. They do not work here anymore.
You said you've made changes to training of the officers. Have you also made changes so that if an incident like this happens in the future, you will learn about it quicker?
We have excellent stopgaps in our policies, in our reviews, in our supervisors to find out when officers are outside of policy or law. We are evaluating all of them right now to ensure that we're better, because obviously we did not know about this until April 14th, months later. So we are continuously evaluating that. We also will anticipate that the assessment of the department will look at all our processes and how we review cases and how we supervise to gain better understanding of how to do that better.
And during that evaluation, Chief, have you guys learned something already that you feel like could help?
We're always learning. Every day is a learning opportunity for our department. We've had great people reach out to our organization. We've had lots of people reach out to our organization and say, hey, what about this training? Or here's a training that might be beneficial to you. And we're looking at all of those. The Alzheimer's Association training was implemented very quickly, and that training was excellent. We also have some de-escalation training that we're going to send 5 officers to, 5 sworn officers and possibly a non-sworn officer to go become an instructor in a de-escalation training through a particular group to bring that training and put that into our in-service in this organization. So we are constantly evaluating new, improved, and additional trainings.
And then as far as like you were talking about the stopgap and we've all talked about how, you guys didn't find out until much later. Have you found some things that you can improve in that process so that some things didn't go unknown for so long?
To answer your question, I would say take a look at the charges that were filed on Mr. Hopp.
charged for like failing to intervene or failing to report, that they will make sure to do it?
Our officers know that. They know that law. They know they have a duty to report. I would say with Officer Hop, look at the charges that have been levied against him, and I believe your question that you're asking, the answer is right there.
Without these charges and without this case, though, if something were to go unforeseen again, have you guys already sort of, in your evaluation of this process, I guess that I'm asking, what are ways to make sure that can occur, or that we can do better?
We're continually looking at the evaluation process. We do rely heavily on supervisors in the field. We rely heavily on reviews of cases, and that is report reviews, body camera reviews, all availability to take a look at stopgaps. And in fact, if one gets through and then we find out later, we will implement the process that we implemented on this one swiftly and surely. Just like if we knew about an alleged crime immediately, we would handle that immediately in the same fashion. So it's very important. We take it very serious.
Was failing to intervene or failing to make a report a criminal charge before SB 217? And if not, is it fair to charge them now for an incident that happened before SB 217 was passed?
The charging decision is by the district attorney, and he charged with what the current laws are. But yes, failure to intervene and failure to report, those have always been on the books as crimes. Yes. All right. Well, I appreciate everybody's time. I'm thankful for the questions, and thank you for covering this for Mrs. Garner and for our community. Appreciate it. Thank you.